Yo, what is up guys, it's your boy RapTRz here, bringing you a quick little video on how to build a deck. This is a video for my beginner players, the people who are new to Paragon essentially, who don't know the game, who may not know many of the heroes, or just in general are new to a MOBA. And I decided to bring you this video today instead of bringing out a build video, because I feel like this will be a lot more helpful than just showing you builds. Builds are so good, you know, it's always good to look at build guides videos to give you an idea of how to build certain heroes if you don't have a big clue. But there's also really good tools within the game that will help you build a deck, and especially for those heroes that you don't know or you're not familiar with. And when it comes to a MOBA, building a deck is really important, and it is just as important at deciding which role you're going to play or which hero you're going to play, because every hero is accompanied by a deck. So today I'm going to show you some quick but effective basic techniques when it comes to building a deck, and hopefully you take something away from it. So let's get right into the deck building guide. So if you want to start building a deck, you have to go to the main menu of the game. You can't build decks in game, you have to go to the menu. So you're going to go to your profile, and on your profile tab there is going to be a deck tab. Okay, it's basically right here is your decks. Now essentially when you start the game, you will be able to craft a deck when you reach level 5. Right now I'm level 50, so I already reached that a long time ago, but you will not be able to create a deck until you hit level 50. You can get up to level 5 by playing solo versus AI. You can do co-op versus AI, you can do player versus player. But if you're a new player, I really recommend playing solo versus AI until you hit level 5. Basically try out some heroes, find out which is your play style. Every hero is a lot different, you can play them a lot differently, and you can build every hero really differently, and certain heroes favor certain cards and stats. So you need to reach level 5 before you can build a custom deck. If you're not level 5, you will not be able to access a custom deck, okay? So basically, before we even get into a deck building little guide right here, we're gonna go to the Heroes tab, okay? It's in the same tab as Profile. We're gonna go to Heroes, and basically you're gonna decide which hero you want to build a deck for, okay? So basically every time you hover over one of these guys over here, whether you're not familiar with them or not, it's going to tell you their stats right here. So let's go to Greystone. Let's look at Greystone. Maybe you're not familiar with Greystone. He's a really good beginner fighter, kind of aggressive playstyle hero that I usually like really playing with him. He's really good, especially for beginner. He has a simple kit, he has a simple basic attack. He's a really simple hero, but he's a really good hero as well. So if we look at Greystone, he has a basic attack of 7, ability power of 3, durability is 9, and mobility is 6. Now at the bottom of that little stat screen, it's going to show you some roles that Greystone excels at. So he's really durable, he's a good initiator, he's a good attacker, he can be elusive, and he's also wild referring to as he can be played in the jungle. But right now we're gonna look at the stats that are really effective for Greystone. So his really good stats is his basic attack and his durability. Now a lot of these heroes, and the best strategy to build them is focusing their strengths, okay? So basic attack is really good for Greystone, and his durability is really good for Greystone. So when we go to build a deck, we can focus on upping his basic attack, or we can focus on upping his durability. So we can build him as a frontier, frontline, heavy basic attack hero, or we can build him as a sort of a tank with a lot of health, a lot of armor to emphasize that durability, or we can do both. We can build moderate damage, and we can build health and armor to make him what is called a bruiser, which is sometimes the best way to build certain heroes, is kind of finding a balance between their stats. But every hero can be built differently. For example, if we look at Gideon doesn't really have too many stats that emphasize his basic attack. He has a basic attack of 2, his durability is 3, but he has a really good ability power of 9, and he has really good mobility of 7. At the bottom of the screen, he is called a burst, assassin, elusive, and a sieger. So the thing they emphasize, as Epic has said, is he's really bursty. So we can focus ability power. We can build some power on him to focus that ability power, and maybe we can add like a blink charm or something else to help increase his mobility, because that is the best way to build him, is according to his strength. Now if we decided to build a deck for basic attack damage, then we won't get the most out of Gideon, you know? We won't get the most out of him. So you really don't want to focus his basic attack. You want to focus his strengths, okay? That's the best way. That's the best strategy to build him. Now, obviously, he doesn't have too much else besides his ability power. So basically, the most ways you're going to see Gideon being built is with, you know, damage, ability power, because that's the best way to build him. Unfortunately, that's usually the only way to build Gideon because he's a caster and he only has ability power. But as for Greystone, you can build him with a basic attack, or you can build him emphasizing on his durability. It's basically up to you. You can have multiple decks for multiple situations or team comps, which is something you don't really need to worry about right now, especially if you're in the early ranks. Just focus on getting familiar with the heroes, getting comfortable with the heroes, knowing how to build just basic decks and knowing basic roles and basic ways to play the game, especially if you're new to a MOBA. So yeah, look over the heroes, whether you've played them or not, kind of get an idea of what they're rolling with or what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, so you could use that information when you build a deck. So now that we're familiar with the hero that we want to build a deck for, we're going to go back to the deck slot tab, or we're going to go to choose a new deck. Now, when you start the game, you're not gonna have as many deck slots as you see right here that I have. Basically, the way to get more deck slots is by getting reputation points. The way you get reputation points is by simply playing a game. If you win a game, you will get more reputation points. If you lose a game, you will get less reputation points, but you will get reputation points just by playing a game. You can get more reputation points by opening chests. Chests give you reputation points as well. Also, as of now, you can do daily quests. These will give you material, or also coins, bonus stars, which will open more chests for you, which also can give you more deck slots. You can also get deck slots by using coins. I don't recommend using coins. It's basically microtransaction, paying out of pocket. It's definitely a way to get more decks, but I've gotten all these deck slots by simply playing the game. I have never paid for any deck slots, and you can get multiple deck slots just by playing the game and not having to pay for it. And the cool thing about Paragon is that you don't really have to pay for much of anything. A lot of this stuff, you can get it with reputation points, okay? Why am I bringing this up? Well, as you play the game, as you progress through the ranks, you will find that having multiple deck slots is really good, because it will allow you to play certain various roles, various heroes. It will allow you to have multiple decks for one hero, and in turn you can do counter plays. You can have situational decks. You can have decks for heroes, because sometimes you may get in a draft lobby and you don't get to play the hero that you want to play, so you got to play another hero, and you always want to have a custom deck for that hero, so a deck that you're comfortable with, that you're familiar with. And it's just always good to have multiple decks. As you see, I have a lot of decks here, and I basically use all of them because I always run into a situation where I might have to use a deck over another deck. But if you're a new player, you don't really have to worry about counter picking and situational decks and all that. That's a little bit more advanced. You will get into that later as you play the game. But I do recommend it when you're starting off. Try to stack up on deck slots so you can prepare for that. And it's just always good to have a lot of decks, because maybe you're experimenting, you're trying out different decks, and you want to have a lot of decks in total. Also, when you build a new deck, every deck is only available to one hero. You cannot have one deck for every hero or multiple heroes. You get one deck, and that one deck goes to that one hero. So another reason why you should have multiple decks. So basically, when you go to make a new deck, it's basically going to tell you to pick the one hero you want to build that deck for. So let's go back to Greystone, the one we were initially looking at, and we're going to build a deck for Greystone. So every time you make a deck, you will be brought up to the prime card screen. Basically, a prime card is basically the card that gets activated when you kill the prime guardian in game. It is basically a team objective. It's kind of like a boss in the game, and every time you kill the boss, you will be granted your card for a certain amount of time every time you kill the boss. So basically, when you kill the boss, you will get 250 health with the Centurion. Or when you kill the boss, you will get 30 extra power. When you kill the boss, you will get 27.5 attack speed. Basically, right as of now, the passives are also buffs, are the things you will get when you kill the Prime Guardian. These may change over time of patches and stuff, but basically you look at the cards and it'll tell you what you will get when you kill the Prime Guardian. since I want to decide to build a bruiser build on Greystone, I'm gonna roll with more health. So when I kill the Prime Guardian, it will give me 250 health and then all the unique passives that are down there. So let's click on the Centurion. So when you open the deck menu, it's going to bring you to a screen where it shows you all these cards, okay? Now don't get intimidated. We're going to sift through them and we're basically going to break it down to how to make a deck, okay? So basically before we even get into the cards, if you don't know what your stats are for your hero again, go up to the left screen. It'll show you the basic attack stats. Just the stats right here for your hero. But you also notice that your hero will have what are called affinities, basically those little insignias under the name of your hero. So for Greystone, it says Fury and Order. Basically what affinities are, they're basically cards that favor certain stats, and this can vary through certain affinities. I'm not going to explain every affinity, but basically for Fury, it basically tends to favor offensive basic attack cards, but focus on building power and kinetic. And also the Order affinity tends to favor more defensive armor cards, more active cards, more like support kind of cards, but definitely more defensive cards. And basically, as you will see, a lot of these affinities tend to favor your hero's strengths. So basically, Paragon encouraging you to build to their strengths. So Fury affinity basically helps the basic attack stat. The Order affinity helps the durability stat. So basically, they go hand in hand sometimes with building your hero the way you want to build them. So another thing to keep in mind when it comes to affinities, only heroes that have that affinity will have access to that card. So basically, if you go to this card, basically Madstone Gem, it's a popular card, but it is only available to Fury affinity heroes. So if you go to your tab right here and your hero doesn't have the Fury affinity, when you go build a deck for him, this card, for example, Madstone Gem, won't be there because he's not a Fury affinity hero. Same thing with the Order cards. If you go to an Order card, for example, Bright Steel Plate, it is an Order affinity card. If your hero doesn't have the Order affinity, he will not have access to this card. And it's something just to keep in mind when you're building a deck for certain heroes. So now that we got affinities out the way and basically the basic layout of your hero stats and everything, let's go to an actual card and break it down more simply so you can get familiar with the cards themselves, okay? So every card has a cost. Basically, a cost is how much CXP or card point power is going to take to slot the card. So basically, if we go to Adamant Edge on the right hand corner, it has a cost of 3. So if we want to slot it into our HUD, it will cost 3 card points. Basically, the more the card costs, the more effective it is, or the more stats it has. So if we go to, Ash of the Witch is a really good card right now, but it costs 6 points to slot it, but it gives you that unique passive that you see on the bottom. Also, the thing about unique passives, it says unique passive because it's basically a passive slot, and unique passives cannot stack. So if we put like 3 of these, for example, if we had 3 of these, the unique passive won't stack. So always keep that in mind. When it says unique passive, it won't slot. But I'm getting on a tangent there. So you can look at these cards and it'll show you how much it costs. And you want to take into consideration when you're looking at how much a card costs. So basically, if you have a lot of high cost cards, so for example, if I have all these really high cost cards, it's going to take me a while to build my deck. So if I have all these cards and they cost a lot of points, it's going to take me longer to build my deck. So essentially, I'm not saying it's bad to have a lot of high cost cards, but you intentionally want to have more lower cost cards than higher cost cards. Another thing to keep in mind, every time you slot that card, so for example, if we slot Golden Veil, it costs 3 points to slot it. So basically, let's say we slot it in game, it's going to give you what is called initial stats. So basically, the initial stats of just slotting the card will give me 4 ability armor and 8 crit chance for this card in general. Now, if we go to another card, let's say we go to, let's go to Brawler Size. If we basically slot this card in game, it's gonna give us 6 power and 30 mana. And this one also gives us a unique passive. It will give us, you know, that unique passive. Keep in mind, unique passives, like I said, they don't stack, okay? So also it will give you 6 power and 30 mana. Let's go to another card, Fountain Spike. If we slot it, it will give us 6 power and 30 mana. Now the thing about initial stats, when you're building a deck, you can only upgrade cards when they have those initial stats. So for the initial stats, for example, in Fountain Spike are power and mana. So when we go to upgrade the card, you will only have access to power and mana. Same thing with Golden Veil. The initial stats are ability armor and crit chance. So we will only have access to ability armor and crit chance. You know, so you kind of get where that's going. Initial stats are important, and you always need to look at them when you're building a deck so you can have in mind what you want to upgrade, okay? So basically, we also have fully upgraded bonuses. Most of the cards have fully upgraded bonuses, not all of them, okay? Keep in mind, not all cards have fully upgraded bonuses, but most of them do. Basically, what fully upgraded bonuses are, basically when you upgrade this card 3 times, you will unlock the fully upgraded bonuses. Now, the strategy when it comes to building decks is you want to have as many fully upgraded bonuses as you can in your deck. So you intentionally want to have 3 upgrades, upgrade 3 times, and you will unlock the fully upgraded bonuses. For example, the fully upgraded bonuses in Golden Veil is 4 ability armor. If the fully upgraded bonus in Fountain Spike, we upgrade this 3 times, it will unlock 6 power and 30 mana. So that's a tip you really want to use. You want to have fully upgraded bonuses. So now that you're familiar with certain cards in general, let's go to the actual process of building a deck. Now, some key numbers you want to keep in mind is you can only have 6 cards slotted at one time in game, okay? You can only have 6, you cannot have 7, you cannot have 8 or 10, you can only have 6. So let's say our build is all these cards. We can only have 6 of them. We cannot have more than that. Yes, you can have less than 6, but it is highly not recommended. The initial strategy when it comes to deck building is having 6 cards. So always try to have 6 cards in your final build, okay? Another key number you want to keep in mind is you can only have an amount of 60 card points, okay? You can only have 60 card points. That includes the cost of these guys. So basically, if we go to Hand of Prophets, and let's say we had this card 8 times, I will only be able to use it 6 times because I only have 60 card points. So I can only have 6 of these guys. And that's basically the number you want to go off of. That's the strategy we're going to use. We're going to use the 10-point upgrade card strategy, I want to call it. So for example, we can only have 6 of these guys because we only have 60 points. You cannot go over that, okay? So that's basically what we're going to go off of. So keep that in mind. Having 6 cards, and then those 6 cards have to equal 60 card points. Now I'm going to show you a really basic way to build a card, and basically the way you want to upgrade cards. So when you go to a card, we're going to click on the card you want to do. You click on it, and then you're going to upgrade it, okay? You only have 3 slots for upgrades. Yes, you can have multiple slots. You can have 6 slots of upgrades. You can have, like, let's say you can have a ton of them. You can have, like, Minor Cast. You can have Wound. You can have Zealous Wound. But you can only use 3 of these. Right here, we have 6 upgrades, but we're only going to be able to use 3 of them. If you're beginning in the game, just use 3. It is a lot simpler. If you get more advanced deck building, you can use multiple, but I myself rarely use more than 3 upgrades. I tend to stick just with 3 upgrades, and that's what I really recommend too. So basically, you can go to the 3 upgrades. You want these upgrades to equal 10 points, okay? So our costs 3. We need to keep that in mind. It costs 3. So let's go a major cast. It's a 3-point upgrade. That is 6. We have 6 points in total. We need 4 more points. So let's put a strike, which is another 2-point upgrade, and another strike. It is another 2-point upgrade. In total, it is 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is a 10-point card, and we are ready to roll with 1 card. When we fully upgrade this card, we will get 4% crit chance. Let's go to another card. I'm just picking random cards to basically show you like just the process of making it. So let's go to Toxigel, right? Toxigel is a 6-point card. So we want it to equal 10 points for the way we're building our deck. So we need 6 points that we can go with a 1-point upgrade that is 7. We can go with another 1-point upgrade that is 8. We can go with a 2-point upgrade and that will be 10. That's another 10-point card. We're ready to roll. We're looking good. Let's go to another card, for example. For example, we have Divine Shield. This is an 8-point card. Now you're wondering, okay, but even if I added 3 basic manas, it's going to be an 11-point card. So what's the problem with that? If we have an 11-point card and we decide to build the rest of our cards with 10-point upgrades, at the end of the build, you're going to find that you're 1 point lacking of that card. So you need to keep that in mind when you're building a deck. It's a common mistake a lot of people make. You want to do your math right. Make sure the cards equal that amount that you want to build them. You can look at them. You can just hover over them. See, it's 8 points, 9, 10, 11. Oh, we messed up. Let's get rid of one. Now it's a 10-point card. Now you're wondering, you only have 2 upgrades on this. Don't you want the fully upgrade bonus on the card? Like Toxigel or like Impact Hammer? Well, basically Toxigel doesn't have a fully upgraded bonus. But look at Impact Hammer. It says fully upgraded bonuses, 4% crit chance. So we have 3 upgrades on it. But if you look at Divine Shield, it doesn't have a fully upgraded bonus. So that's all right. We can have, 2 upgrades right here and not have to worry about it. So that's another thing you want to keep in mind here as well. So let's go to another card. Let's say Chrono Spike. Let's do the math. 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a 10-point card. Let's do it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's another 10-point card. We have 4 cards right now. We're looking good. Let's go to another card. Just a random card. I don't know. Wind Carver Blade, let's say. Let's do another 10-point card. 3, 2, 2, 2. That's a 10-point card. Let's just, put another one. 3, 2, 2, 2. So now we have 6 cards in total. Oops, we accidentally added another one. Let's get rid of that. Why do I have another one here? All right. So there we go. We have 6 cards. So, and all these cards equal 60 card points in total. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That is 60 points. And you have yourself a full build, okay? So now that we got basically the process of upgrading cards is actually build a deck that we're actually going to use, keeping in mind and considering the stats that we want to build. So I'm basically going to build a deck. I'm going to try to explain the process, the thinking behind me building the deck, but I'm going to go ahead and build a deck for Greystone, emphasizing his basic attack and his durability. So we can also use the search bar right here to find certain cards you want to use. So you can use this as well. And basically a thing you always want to have a deck is a ward. Put a fucking ward, guys. So you spelled ward, W-A-R-D. You spell that. What is a ward? A ward gives you vision on the map. It is like a mini UAV or mini motion detector. They're really useful. I use them in all my decks and you should use them as well. So I want to build some health for Greystone. So let's build some health. This card gives me health, so I'm going to build health on it. We're going to be using the 10-point upgrade system. So I'm going to be building 10-point cards, and I want 6 of them in total to equal 60 points. So 3, 2, 2. That is a 10-point card. It is a ward. Fucking use a ward. Okay, so we got our health. I want some armor. So let's go to armor. Ability armor. So let's see what we got. Let's go with Toon Barrier. It's a good card. Let's put barrier. Let's put a barrier, another barrier, and then let's put some health. So we got our ability armor, but I want basic attack armor as well, so we can be a lot more tanky. Let's go to tempered plate. Let's go greater guard, a guard, and then more health. So it's another 10-point card. There we go. So we got our defensive stats pretty good. I think this is more than enough defensive stats. So let's get some more damage. We already emphasized his durability. Let's get more damage to emphasize his damage. his basic attack basically. So let's go to power. Let's see what we got in roll for power. So let's see what gives us really good power. This one gives us power and attack speed. It seems like a really good card. Let's go to this. So let's get power, power, another power. That's a 10-point card. Raw power. I want to emphasize his basic attack a little bit more. So let's get kinetic. This basically allows us to attack a lot faster with our basic attack. Greatly increases the firing rate of your basic attack. Ooh, that sounds cool. Let's get that. Kinetic. Let's get a little bit more. Another 2.1. And let's get a little bit more power. I want more power. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got a 5-point card. Is there any kind of other card we could use? Let's see. Let's go back to the main screen. Let's see. Oh, Ash of the Witch looks pretty good, right? So you can slow down enemies on ability hit. So when I use ability, I can slow them down. Ooh, look at that. Power Cord. We can use every time I hit somebody with my basic attack. It will reduce their healing. Toxigel. It'll give me a burst cleanse when I take 400 damage. You can basically choose what you want. Let's be a little bit... let's see what we want. Let's see, actually. Do we want more power? What do we want? Let's go with a little bit more power. So let's see the cards we have for power. Thick Blood. Let's see. Let's get Ash of the Witch. So Ash of the Witch is a 6-point card. So 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops. There we go. Oops. There we go. 10 points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do all of them equal 10? Yes, it's 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. 6 points. 60-point card. We emphasize his defensive stats, and then we emphasize his basic attack stats as well. We also have a passive card, a really good card, Ash of the Witch. It'll slow enemies down. You can look through these. You can sift through the cards and see what you want to do. I want to emphasize on building in the front line, being able to last in team fights. And then also control enemies by slowing them down with the unique passive with Ash of the Witch. So that's really good. That's a really good card we can use. So when you go up here, it's going to show you that you have 25 out of 40 deck slots used. This includes slotting cards and slotting upgrades. So basically, if we go to Meltdown and we slot 6 of these, you're going to see that it went up to 32 because we have multiple slots upgraded. So if we get rid of it, it's going to go back down to 25. So that's also something you want to keep in mind when you're building a deck. So that's basically the deck building guide right there. You can literally just roll with these cards and start upgrading them. Now I'm going to explain some other more advanced tips that you may not use as much for beginner players, but I still want to show you them so you can have an idea of what other people are doing. So this is our full build basically right here. This is the build that we're going to end up with. But you can also have beginning cards as well. So some really beginner cards that you can use in the beginning of the game. When you start a game, you will have 3 CXP off the bat, and basically you get 3 CXP to use in the beginning of the game. So a lot of these early game cards are consumables. Basically, these cards will help you in the early game. So a lot of them are 1-point cards. You know, you can do 2-point cards, or a healer token is 2 points. And basically, those are the beginning cards. So when we begin the game, we can have, let's get a mana potion so we can use our abilities more. Let's get a health potion so we can use, so we can get some health. And then let's get a cast token so we can get more damage. Now, basically, whatever role you're playing, you can decide on what cards you want. Usually, Greystone is in the off lane, so you can roll with like a healer token, that's 2 points. And then a health potion, that's 3 points. So you can always go off your consumables, basically the beginning cards, and basically make it equal 3 points, because those are the amount of points you will get in the beginning of the game. So you can get 2 points, a healer token, and a health potion, that's 3 points. You can get 2 health potions and a cast token, that's 3 points. You can get a mana potion and 2 health potion, that's 3 points. Keep that in mind as your early game cards as well, which are usually consumables. Now you can also have early game cards as well. Early game cards are basically cards that have minor upgrades. So basically, let's go to Anima Edge. It's a really good early game card a lot of people use. You can go at an Anima Edge and you can get lesser cards, basically 1-point cards. Why do people use 1-point upgrades? you're like saying, okay, but I want, these upgrades are way better. Like, look at this one. It gives me 200 health, you know? This one gives me 150 health. Like, look at these. Why do I want to use these? Well, basically the thinking behind it is you want to use 1-point upgrades to get that fully upgraded bonus as fast as you can. Again, going back to fully upgraded bonuses, they're really, really crucial. They give you an advantage, especially in the early game. So if you have early 1-point cards, you can get early advantages. You may not see this in lower ranks simply because you won't have access to a lot of minor 1-point cards. So as you progress more into the game, you will see people using more early game cards. And I always have early game cards because I've been playing this game for a long time, so I'm more in a higher rank where having early game cards is a big benefit to me. So let's say we can get early power, we can get that early health, and we can get, you know, more early game power, basically to emphasize that early game. So you see, when I wanted to add another card, I want another card, but it's gonna give me an error message. Basically, why is it giving me an error message? Because I'm at 40 out of 40 card slots. So I can't add any more cards. That's basically as many cards as I can add. So that's basically it. You can roll with a full build. You can have fully upgraded cards if you want to do fully upgraded cards. But just keep in mind that you always want to end up with the last build you have, okay? Now going back to the early game card strategy, the way to get more cards, the way to get more fully upgraded bonuses is by deck crafting. So when you build your deck, you can be done building your deck, but that's all good. But if you want to get more cards, if you want to get more upgrades, you can go to the cards slot, the card tab right here, and you can craft cards. Basically, every time you play the game, you can get materials and stuff. Basically, you use these materials to craft cards. A really big tip, focus on universal cards, okay? Especially if you're starting out, I really recommend focusing your points and your materials on universal cards, because most of these universal upgrades and cards can be used for every hero. Universal cards can be used for every hero. I try to stay away from the affinity cards because this is more like for specific heroes, and when you're starting in the game, you're going to be playing a lot of different heroes, and the more universal upgrades you have, the better. It will give you more versatility, and it'll just make your life a lot easier. So I really do recommend getting minor point cards, like 1-point upgraded cards. These are really, really good to use for those early game advantages. So that's basically what you want to lean towards. You want to start getting early game cards because those help you a lot. So getting 1-point upgrades helps. Also, cards that are universal stats, like stats that give you like health and armor. Universal cards can give you power and mana. You can use for attack speed. Like, you can use these universal cards for basically every hero, and they're universal, so you can use them for every hero. Another way to get a lot of cards is getting card packs. You can get card packs by playing the game. Opening chests gives you card packs. With reputation points, you can buy card packs. So when you buy card packs, I always recommend buying a random 10,000 reputation point card packs. It will give you 5 random cards, and that's how I got so many cards, is just by buying these card packs. So the more card packs you got, the more options you got, the more upgrades you got, and basically the more versatility you got to building your heroes, okay? Sometimes you can get weekly packs. If you see a card that you need for a build, let's say you went to a building guide video and they were using a certain card, you can use it here. This basically guarantees you 3 cards that you see right here. Sometimes I buy weekly card packs, but not really. I tend to buy 10 random cards. This will give you basically 10 random cards. So if we open it, it will give us 10 random cards. So we got, we got an order card, we got a corruption card, we got another order card, and then we got 2 more corruption cards. So that's really good. Basically, you could keep buying them. So let's buy another one, 10 points, and we'll get something different again. So let's see what we get this time. We're gonna get, we got a Fury card, a Fury upgrade card. We got a corruption card, and then another Fury card, and then another corruption card. We're getting a lot of corruption for some reason, but yeah, this basically gives you universal cards as well. So always keep that in mind. But yeah, those are basically the essential tips I can give you for building a deck. You can always go back to decks and tweak them out as certain patches come out, certain cards might change. Certain stats on cards might change, or active passives might change. So always keep that in mind. Sometimes you will have to go back and tweak cards just to fit your build or your hero a lot better. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope it was clear enough where I explained it enough. I just wanted to make a video because when I started playing this game, I didn't have a guide video to look at. I had to basically learn by myself on how to build a deck. And it was really intimidating and it took a lot of time. And hopefully this video helped you beginner players out somewhat. You know, I try to explain my best. It's just there's so many things to explain, but I hope I broke it down simple enough for you guys to build a deck for you. But anyways, guys, it's your boy RapTRz, and I'll see you guys on the next one. So good luck, and I'll see you guys on Paragon. Also, another fun game you could play while watching this video. Every time I say basically, take a shot. You will probably be dead after this video. Basically. Basically. Oh my god, I'm not doing the video over. I'm sorry, guys. I've said basically like 400 fucking times. God damn. Jesus Christ.